Alright, so I had something in my notes app that I wanted to make a video on, but I couldn't really find it, or I did find it, and I'm just not in the mindset to speak about it. But I'm gonna talk about something else. It's called the curse of the youth that I personally have a theory on. I'm pretty sure someone else already thought of this, and it's under a different name. I'm just going to read out what I have in the notes here, with the exception of a little bit. So, curse of the youth. You gotta live it to know what they're talking about. People would give you wisdom, and you know that it's wisdom, but when you listen to you can't just listen to wisdom, you know what I mean? You can't just listen to someone giving their life stories. You kind of have to go through it, or else you never truly understand the message that they're trying to preach. I call this the curse of the youth. The curse of wanting to learn from others, but having to learn it for yourself. Or having to learn it from yourself first. Having to learn something the hard way is never easy, obviously. And it's going to feel like a punch in the sternum, which is what the middle of the chest is called, like right here. Um, but you live and learn, and with knowledge, you live and learn even better. And the curse of the youth is not just exclusive to the young. The curse of the youth can affect any and everyone. Just because you're old doesn't mean that it can't happen to you. The most common example of this is religion. In religion, people sin for many reasons. And one of those reasons, I can convince a person to sin is because they don't feel the immediate effect of their actions. You know what I mean? They're given wisdom without going through the punishment. So that was just like 2 lines of what I wrote down in my notes app. And, yeah, so I'm just gonna free ball from here. The curse of the youth is basically understanding what someone's saying, but not understanding what he's like. If someone's saying, you know what I'm saying, and they expect a response, you understand what they're trying to say, but you might go through that same trial period knowing that they said what they said, right? And you don't understand what they're trying to say unless you say it, right? So yeah, can I give an example on this? Okay, sure. So let's say someone says, "Do not go to college," and if you do, don't talk to people that do drugs because you're gonna end up doing drugs, right? And you're like, yeah, don't go to college, don't do drugs. Obviously, this is obvious knowledge, right? And then you go to college, and then you meet some pretty nice people, you know what I mean? They're cool, they do their homework, they do their classwork, they give you the answers occasionally, you know what I mean? They hook you up with they help you study X, Y, and Z. They just vape to get the worries off, to get the stress off, and they seem calm all the time. You know what I mean? They seem like really calm and reasonable people. They're like always calm. When they're stressed, they just hit a nick, and all of a sudden they know what the hell to do. They're locked the hell in. You know what I mean? Um, or maybe they took ashwagandha first, and then from ashwagandha, which isn't really a drug, they go from vaping, and from vaping they eventually evolve to weed. And you're stressed all the time. You barely get your work done on time. You're like, yo, maybe this ashwagandha stuff will help me lock in. You know what I mean? I can't really like focus on one thing at a time for very long. Take ashwagandha, be like, oh, this is kind of working. All right. And then your friends recommend you ashwagandha since you can't focus all the time. You're like, I don't know. They're like, it's not even a drug for real. You know what I mean? You take it, you focus, and then they're like, yo, if you love ashwagandha, just take one hit of this pen. I swear you're going to relax. You're going to calm down. The finals is 3 days from now, but if you take a hit of this pen, you know what I mean? This Benjamin, it won't be bad. You know what I mean? Like, you could calm down. You're like, I don't know, man. They're like, it's not even weed for real. You know, it's not even that strong. Just take a couple hits of this, and you should be fine. And then you take a couple hits of it. You know what I mean? All of a sudden, all that wisdom that the person was telling you that they personally went through is slowly going down the drain. It's kind of like the story of Adam and Eve. God didn't say don't eat from the tree. God said don't go close to the tree. The devil told them, yo, come a little close to the tree. You know what I mean? That like he was trying to psych them into it the whole time. He didn't tell them to go and eat from the tree. It's a slow process. He said, get a little closer from to the tree. You know what I mean? Look at how interesting the roots are. That isn't a quote. He might have said something along the lines of, look at how interesting the roots are. Look at how the bark lays on the tree. Look at how the tree looks. What shape is that fruit again? You should look at the shape of the fruit. You know what I mean? Is that a green stem on that apple? If it was an apple. If that had a green stem on that apple, you know what I mean? Is it a purple apple? Is that purple? Have you even seen that color yet? You should get a little closer just to make sure. And then after they already get close to the tree, he's like, what if the only reason that God told you not to eat from this tree is so you could become an angel? So you could become on the same level as God. You know what I mean? Wouldn't you want to eat that? Wouldn't you want to be that powerful? He didn't say that. Might have been something that he said. You know what I mean? He is a deceiver after all. He is trying to lead mankind to the wrong direction after all. He's like, the only reason that God told you not to eat from this tree is because you become an angel. You have wings. You know what I mean? Just kind of convince them. It's like, what's his name? Tom Platz said, right? When you're doing squats, you don't immediately just go into it. You know what I mean? You gotta work your way up to it. He gave the analogy, when you walk up to a girl, you don't just say, yo, meet me in the bedroom for real. You gotta court her into it. The same process with the slow convincing of a person. You know what I mean? You don't just walk up to him. You gotta slowly convert yourself into it. And I feel like young people, or rather ignorant people, fall into this trap because they don't know the signs of it. You know what I mean? And even if they do know the signs from it, oftentimes they ignore it because they think they know better, especially the young people. That's why I call it the curse of the youth. Right? The young people know that I'm a young person, by the way. I've definitely fallen into this trap. The young people, you know what I mean, are like, they talking about the general blah 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 blah. This is the exception to the rule. You know what I mean? I can make this work for real. And then you go down the same path that the other person did. You don't learn the lesson until you learn the lesson. You don't learn what a person is saying by just them saying it. You learn from your own mistakes, and I feel like that's one of the best ways of learning, in my opinion. You learn from your own mistakes. You know what I mean? You don't know the value of something until you buy it yourself. You don't know how valuable toilet paper is until you got $18 in your bank account. You ain't got no toilet paper in the house, and you gotta go outside and buy toilet paper for $8.99. You know what I mean? You don't know the true value of things until it comes out of your pocket. You don't know the valuable wisdom that someone gives you until you go through it yourself. This isn't for all types of wisdom. This isn't the broad thing. It's the exception to the rule. And that's all.